Israel's using. It's the domination of one subgroup to another subgroup and the dehumanization. This guy is such a fucking G for explaining how this whole process works. And again, if you can't hear it from a Holocaust survivor, who can you hear it from?
I was educated. I learned at school about blood and soil, and that's exactly their idea too. And humans do not play a role. Judaism, as I learned it, is highly ethical, and so
right now they're showing the protest at Grand Central Station that happened a couple months ago, where it was the Jewish Voice for Peace. These are all Jewish individuals protesting the genocide that's happening in Gaza. This is not about anti-Semitism. This is not about anti-Semitism. This is not about Judaism versus Islam. This is about a colonizing force using its overwhelming firepower to bomb a group back to the Stone Age, killing 10,000 plus children. And if you can't hear it from a Holocaust survivor, you can't hear it from anyone. Your brain is closed off.
Cannot connect Zionism with highly ethical. You can only connect the words aggressive, oppressive, stealing, robbing with Zionism, but not highly ethical. Zionism and Judaism are contrary to each other because Judaism is universal and humane, and Zionism is exactly the opposite. It is very narrow, very nationalistic, racist, colonialist, and all this.
It's a colonizing force. Zionism is fundamentally based upon colonization. When you understand that there were people in Palestine, and then after the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire and the end of World War I, and then obviously after World War II, the British were just like, yeah, go on, take that land with machine guns. Go take it. Go take it. Well, if you're going to base your state around the murder of the people that are currently living there, your state will end up being an oppressive regime. Blood and soil, ethnicity and land. You claim this land is your own because of your ethnicity. It's not a good thing. And it's one of the cruelest parts of history that the Jewish people, who a Holocaust was perpetrated against them. This man, a Holocaust survivor, has to see the state of Israel, which does not represent Jewish people, commit these mass atrocities, these mass crimes. It's horrible.
There is no national Judaism. There is Zionism and there is Judaism, and they are completely different.
Never again for anyone. Never again for anyone. This is Hajo Mayer. He's a Dutch Jew and Holocaust survivor and spent his life fighting Zionism. He passed away in 2014, but a decade later, his words are as relevant as ever. You know what this shows? He died in 2014. He didn't need to see the flattening of Gaza to know that when Israel colonized Gaza and the West Bank, colonized Palestine with machine guns, forceful displacement of everyone that lived there, that's just what happened. They just went in there with machine guns and they conquered. And now they have these people in their open-air prisons. And he saw that in 2014. This didn't happen on October 7th. There were massacres in order to colonize this piece of land. So let's, again, if you can't hear it from a Holocaust survivor, who can you hear it from? If you can't hear it from a Holocaust survivor, who can you hear it from? This is not, oh, both sides are bad and it's just tough. It's just not. It's just not. So listen, hear his words. Yeah. Now we see what our boomer parents are being fed by the great news source of Fox News as they tell us what's really happening in America. And we have the glorious, respectable bipartisans talking about all of this in Tulsi Gabbard and Holden Bloodfest, as we will see here.
There should be no place on any campus, no place in America for anti-Semitism or threats of violence against Jewish students. There is no place for hate speech or violence of any kind, whether it's anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or discrimination against Arab Americans or Palestinian Americans. It's simply wrong. As president, I will always defend free speech, and I will always be just as strong in standing up for the rule of law.
Yep. You're always defending free speech, as in democratic cities in New York City with Democrats running the entire freaking state and you being the president, they're going into Columbia and cracking skulls and arresting the protesters, because that's what free speech is all about. Because when you protest for things I like, you shouldn't be cracked down by the state. But when you protest for things I don't like, the state should beat the shit out of you. It's the rule of law, dude. It's the rule of law.
If you were getting a sense of deja vu,
look at these little piglets on bicycles, and look at these guys in riot shields for college peaceful protesters. It's just insane.
that is because that was live right about this time during this hour yesterday. And we've had 24 hours to try to digest those few little words that he took 9 days to say about the chaos and the hate that have taken over America's college and university.
The chaos and the hate. The chaos and the hate. Again, we showed you the Holocaust survivor that was firmly anti-Zionist because the Zionists took over Palestine with machine guns, with bloody, blood on their hands, and massacred the people that currently lived there and displaced them. So, we just went over that. And if the Holocaust survivor can get it into your brain, I don't know what will. So, no, but it's all anti-Semitism. It's all Hamas. It's all anti-Semitism, Hamas. Hamas, anti-Semitism, Hamas.
Campuses. Critics are ripping into him. His delay.
Look at these piglets on bicycles. Oh my gosh, charging them down. As a pro bike person myself, this is insane. It's the only time these guys get their exercise, though. The piglets gotta oink sometimes.
Reaction, and what they say was a weak and politically calculated response. So it was certainly legally written, every word of it. One headline has this explanation: Biden tries threading the needle on campus protests and the Israel.
Biden tries not to lose every single vote possible as he supports genocide for the 7th month in a row, as babies are being carpet bombed by the tens of thousands and flesh is rotting off their bones, and we see mass graves of people being zip-tied beneath hospitals. No, he's it's problem with him is he supports anti-Semitism.
Hamas war. Yesterday on Focus, Senator John Kennedy said he knows exactly why Biden's doing this.
The mayhem you see is an effort to put pressure on President Biden, and it's working. President Biden,
I love this. I love this. It's actually Holden Bloodfest, and we're just going to show you this meme here. We're going to show you this Holden Bloodfest meme. Yeah. Y'all need to see. Let's see what we got here. Y'all know what it is. I'm Holden Bloodfest from Iowa. I'm 118 years old. Please, let me just give more money to Israel so I can see more rotting flesh one last time. Respectable bipartisan, by the way. I'm a respectable bipartisan. So Holden Bloodfest.
respect, he is old. He is weak. He knows he has to have the Hamas wing.
He's old and weak from the guy. Let's see here. John Kennedy, Louisiana, age 72 years old. Yes, the pot is calling the Kennedy. Oh, sorry. It's a Freudian slip here. The pot is calling the kettle black. The pot is calling the Kennedy black. My God.
The Democratic Party.
Oh, wait. Did he just see the Hamas wing of the Democratic Party? You mean the Democratic Party that almost unilaterally gave $26 billion to Israel to conduct its continued genocide of the Palestinians?
He knows he has to have the Hamas wing of the Democratic Party.
The Hamas wing of the I mean, these people actually, yeah, their brains are just maggots. Their brains are just maggots. They only have maggots inside of their brains.
To be reelected. He's scared, as my dad used to say. He's nervous as a pregnant nun.
As my dad used to say, there's the chicken coop and the butt plugs, and I just know that in the farm there's some bunnies, and that's why I love genocide.
Oh, with respect, he said it all.
This newscaster is in love. With respect, they said it all. Just so happy. Oh, I love when Holden Bloodfest does his thing.
The Trump campaign echoed in writing, Biden refused to outright condemn the pro-Hamas, pro-genocide mobs. And
it's great. It's great. Yeah. It's almost like you live in a parallel reality. Go ask the protesters what they're protesting. Yeah, no, all of the protesters, when you go up and talk to them, they're all like, hey, you know what I love? I love Hamas. I love it. That's why they do it. You think when you talk to a protester, they're probably going to say, I'm against the carpet bombing of babies. I'm against the genocide that's happening to the Palestinian people. I'm against 30,000+ civilians dying in a widespread ethnic cleansing campaign. When other countries like South Africa are bringing to the criminal court these convictions of genocide in an apartheid state that the largest Israeli human rights group, B'Tselem, or any human rights group around the world, Amnesty International, show that Israel's an apartheid state because they control Gaza by air, by sea, by land. They can't move. They can't have anything. There's an open air prison, and the West Bank has all these military checkpoints. Can you just have empathy for 4 fucking seconds and imagine if you were a Palestinian mom and your entire family was killed, your babies, their limbs are hanging off? I mean, these people are just monsters.
the sad truth is that he needs their votes. And more headlines are taking the president to task today. A political decision. Joe Biden ends his silence. Another. Biden fails the campus protest test. And his fear of taking on the crazy left poses a real threat to his...
Oh, they're crazy left. They're so crazy that they don't want genocide. They're so crazy they don't want to see babies carpet bombed. They're crazy.
Re-election chances. Far-left Senator Bernie Sanders with this dire warning for Biden.
Again, far-left senator. He would be a social democrat in any Nordic countries, in Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Germany. He supports universal health care and public infrastructure. My man is not a freaking far-left senator. And they don't say for Holden Bloodfest, a far-right-wing lunatic that supports the insurrection and the genocide of others and the blood hanging off their bones. They don't call Holden Bloodfest a far right-wing lunatic, but they're crazy left Bernie Sanders.
In terms of his campaign, I am thinking back, and other people are making this reference, that this may be Biden's Vietnam. I worry very much that...
It may be Biden's Vietnam. It may be. Maybe it is. I mean, who can say? Who knows?
President Biden is putting himself in a position where he has alienated not just young people, but a lot of the Democratic base.
If you're not alienated here, I don't know what you're doing. But also, Bernie is supporting Genocide Joe, Dementia-ridden Joe, for the election. Yeah, that's a great idea.
In terms of his views on Israel and this war.
Tulsi Gabbard, Fox News contributor and former Hawaii Congresswoman. It's so good to have you. I want to tell you she is the author of...
Thank you. I'd like to say that I love genocide. I love it. I'm very respectable bipartisan.
A brand new book. Let's pop that up. For Love of Country, Leave the Democrat Party Behind.
I am noble and presidential. I am Tulsi Gabbard. For the love of country.
Yes, me, presidential. Leave the Democrat Party behind. I love how it's Democrat. Rat. They love that. They love to say Democrat with the rat because there's a little rat at the end. When it's Democratic, again, I'm not a Democrat. I don't vote for the Democratic Party. I am a Green Party voter. So I called Joe Biden Genocide Joe, dementia-ridden Joe. I just did a story covering the corruption of the Democrats. I'm not in favor of the Democratic Party, but it's like these people are parodies of themselves.
Tell me about leaving Joe Biden behind yesterday, because that was, a lot of people are criticizing it was too little too late.
Yeah, you know, statements like his, waiting 9 days and then having this weak statement that is unbecoming of the President of the United States.
But I would be becoming a President of the United States. I have a gray swirl in my hair, and I have changed my opinions about every single political issue that there is. I mean, there are 85 political issues, and I changed my mind on 85 of them. Not 1 or 2 or 3, but all 85, because I'm not a grifter. I'm presidential.
During a time of crisis is one of those reasons why I left the Democratic Party. You know,
why I left the left? Because I am a respectable bipartisan.
he talks about his commitment to uphold the rule of law, his commitment to defend free speech, and yet we are seeing here in his response his failure to do so, and his record throughout his administration of not only failing to defend free speech, but actually deciding who gets to speak and who should be censored.
It's so great. It's so good. It's so good. Right now, she's cooking about free speech. So watch her defend the protesters because they're protesting against babies being carpet bombed and using their free speech on college campuses. So she's going to defend them, right? Because that's what she's talking about, free speech here, right?
So his words are fairly meaningless, and his lack of honesty and directness in speaking the truth that, yes, we defend free speech, that all students should feel safe in their campus, to stand against anti-Semitism, and to call out what is a pro-Hamas, pro-radical Islamist ideology.
It's like, what is this? It's actually a meme. She's actually being the meme. She's doing the meme. Go ask a protester. Yes, we are pro-Hamas. We are the proest of Hamas. That's what they are all just anti-Semitic Hamas. I mean, ask them, what are you protesting? And they'll say the genocide that's happening to the Palestinian people, the carpet bombing of babies, and the U.S. giving $26 billion more to them in order to continue that genocide. So no, but I am for free speech unless it's the speech that I don't like.
That is taking over these campuses where they're advocating for genocide against our fellow Americans. That's what's happening and what he refused to say.
And ironically,
they're advocating for the genocide of our fellow Americans. What in the fuck are you talking about? There are many, many, many Jewish people on these protests. They are not advocating for the genocide of themselves. What are you talking about? But I know I'm respectable. I'm respectable. Look at the Joe Rogan quote on top of my book. I'm presidential.
calling for genocide for him too. Genocide Joe. I mean, some of the signage has his name on it, which is, I say ironic. I don't often use that word because you would think he'd have a whole lot to say about this.
You would, and it really makes me wonder how closely he's paying attention to what's really going on here and recognizing that while this is happening on our college campuses today, the greater threat is one that threatens our fundamental freedom and frankly, civilization, because Hamas as a terrorist organization, like other Islamist groups, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, etc., their goal is Islamic rule. It is exacting Sharia.
No, she's cooking here. Let her cook, because think about this. All the protesters are just Islamists. Think about that. All of the atheist protesters, I'm an atheist, right? But I'm actually an Islamist because she was saying that I am. So, I mean, that's what's good about her cooking is that, I didn't know that I was an Islamist. I didn't know when I protested I was an Islamist, but I thank you for telling me that I believed in Sharia law as an atheist. I
I didn't know, but she opened my eyes to it. And it's so clear now. And thank God, this woman that switched her position on 99% of issues, completely 180 from the Bernie Sanders lookalike to now the Donald Trump vice presidential pick. I am Tulsi, I was here, now I'm here, and now I'm here, and now I'm here, and I want power and give me money, and I want power and give me money. But no, I'm respectable, and I'm presidential.
Sharia law over the world. So the more this ideology continues.
Yes, I wanted Sharia law over the world. That's what I wanted, not an end to ethnic cleansing and the bombing of babies.
Continues to spread as these young students are being susceptible to grabbing hold onto, the more we will see happening like we're seeing in countries in Europe where they are implementing Sharia law in civilized freedom.
Yes, the Sharia law in Germany. Yes, the Sharia law in Sweden. You have to actually only have maggots for brains, or you're just a grifter. Or you're just a grifter. Or you just grift in the grift, and you're grift in the rift, and you're grift in the grift on the grift in the grift. And you're saying, I love money, and I want power. I want power. Give me power, please, please. I want it, though, but I want it. I want power. That's, that she's doing this whole song and dance because, yes, civilization is crumbling. A Sharia law is being implemented in Sweden. You have to just think that, she knows what she's doing. She's playing to an audience. She's playing a game of I'm presidential. Look at me. I can gain power.
Loving countries in the West.
Wow. Anti-Israel.
Wow. You really cooked there. Wow.
Israel protesters have defaced a statue of one of our first president at the university that bears his name. They draped a Palestinian scarf, a keffiyeh as we're coming to know it, and the flag around his face and neck at the George Washington University.
They have defaced our great leader, our great founder, our God King. They have defaced him in all of his glory. No. Hey, did you know that he fought a revolution against the state? And I don't know if you know this, but the Palestinian cause, the keffiyeh, the revolution, the whatever, against their current oppressors, that's what they're doing as well. But no, the general that supported our revolution against state tyranny and state oppression, his revolution was good. I don't think you understand. Like, his was good. The 1770s, there was one good revolution. The one good one. There's one good one. It was in the 1770s. It was by this slaveholder here. That revolution was good. The rest of them are bad, actually. So the rest of them are bad. So I don't know if you know this, but the rest of them are bad.
University campus in D.C. Acts like this one and the protests across the country are showing the organized effort by the far left to radicalize our young people. An NYPD deputy commissioner laid it out this way today.
It's propaganda, it's social media, it's the students are already passionate and upset about an issue, and now you have a person whispering in your ear that, hey, we should take over the building or something.
Yeah, it's propaganda and social media. No, that's just what it is. I mean, it's just, there's no way you could see in your eyes a 6-year-old with their legs falling off and say, you know what? Like, that's bad, and I don't want my government to send $26 billion to a country that's killed 10,000 plus children. I don't want that. I actually don't want the continuation of an apartheid state and the funding of that apartheid state via my funds. It's just the propaganda. It's just the propaganda. And you know what? It's just the social media that made them take over this building, because in the 1960s, they didn't do it. In the 1980s and 90s protesting against apartheid South Africa, they didn't do it. Yeah, it's only social media that made them do it, actually. And so that's why I just, it's just propaganda. It's just, they would have never done this building takeover of Columbia University if it wasn't for the propaganda. That's it.
Something like that. It's when young minds are in that state, it's pretty easy to then be influenced by somebody who is a professional at.
No, and you know what? The boomers that are listening to Fox News, they're not susceptible to this pro-American, pro-genocide propaganda. They're not susceptible to Tulsi Gabbard switching her opinion on everything and listening to her like she's, reading out the gospel. They're not susceptible to propaganda, actually, because they're good. they're just, it's only the young people that are really susceptible. That's just it. That's all it is.
Manipulation.
Okay, you have to check this out. The Wall Street
You have to check this out. You just have to.
Journal's lead editorial today outlines what it calls rules for campus radicals in 2024. It highlights a website that's become a clearinghouse for anarchists, Antifa activists, and other radical leftists, and offers tips and strategies on how to break the law and indoctrinate people. Tulsi, on
I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine? I mean, like, because there was only one good revolution. There was only one good time to break the law. It was in the 1770s, and if you do it again, I mean, you're a terrorist supporter, and you're Hamas, and you're anti-Semitic. So, no, because there was only one good revolution. It was in the 1770s. It was by that slaveholder, J.W. Only one good revolution. It's there's only one good one. Only one good one.
on one of the opening pages on the website, some home time reading for people who want to cause a resistance. Expect resistance to yourself. A crime think field manual. And all the steps you can do to fight back. And we're seeing some of that.
We're seeing it before our very eyes. This is not just a grassroots movement that's bubbled up out of nowhere. It's very clearly organized. It's very clearly well-funded.
It's so well funded. It's just so well funded. Tents and posters, they cost a lot of money, dude. They're just like, you have to have sweet stacks of cash to buy a tent. I don't know if you know this. There's this site called Amazon.com, and it's really, really, really difficult to buy a tent unless you actually have a credit card from the Qatari government. Unless you have that Qatari credit card, you literally, it's crazy. You can't buy a tent, or you can't buy a poster board. It's wild, but it just is how it is.
And the objectives are very clear. I talked about the influence of this ideological warfare that Islamist terrorist groups are waging.
Yeah, that's my thing. When I was protesting earlier, I didn't know it. I didn't know it at the time, but I was an Islamist. I didn't realize. Here. Let me come in close. I didn't realize my love of Islam. I didn't realize it until Tulsi told me that me as an atheist loved Islam. Thank you, Tulsi. Thank you. Because I wasn't out there protesting because I didn't want to see babies carpet bombed by an apartheid regime. I was out there